Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Okay, I want everybody to take a big, deep breath. I know that this has been a terrible legislative session. It seems like just like last year after we got kicked in the shins with an iron boot 5 times, this year we got kicked in the crotch with those same iron boots. Yes, it has been a bad legislative session, and unfortunately, I have been the bearer of a lot of bad news. I think a lot of you probably are interested in watching the videos, but you're also scared as to what I may have to say. I'm going to try to deliver this video in a really calm manner today, because I do want all of us to take a few deep breaths, relax, and recognize what we can and cannot control. And that's the biggest problem here, is that we so frequently get worked up about stuff that we cannot control. The crazies in Olympia have their own agenda. They do not care about saving lives. They do not care about your rights. They care about scoring virtue signaling points. And that's the sad reality of it. And that's not unique to Washington state politics, unfortunately. What I want to do today, though, is I want to give you at least a perspective about what the future will hold for us, because there are certain things that we can control, and I think we need to start focusing on that. So today, let's just spend a few relaxing, calm minutes and talk about, with Washington's assault weapon ban headed to the governor's desk, what does our future really look like? Okay, before we get going too far down the road we're going, I do want to proudly announce that this video is being brought to you by Security Gun Club. That's right, Washington's nicest indoor shooting facility is located right here in Woodinville, Washington. Listen, you've heard me brag about the facility. It is awesome. You have heard me brag about the people, and they are terrific. You've heard me brag about the training, and candidly, it is the best in the business, and I think it's what truly sets them apart. But what I really want to talk about is two things. Number one, you guys go to ranges all the time to make sure you don't end up in the morgue, but where do you go to practice to make sure that you don't end up in prison? Well, perhaps you should do a refresher course every once in a while about basic self-defense laws in Washington state. Hey, why don't you sign up for that class Wednesday, April 19th at 5:30 at Security Gun Club, taught by yours truly, and I will at least try to teach you all the things you need to know to stay out of prison. The other thing is that in light of this video that we're talking about, we realize that we have a hell of a fight coming in front of us, and therefore we're going to be doing some fundraising for the Silent Majority Foundation on Friday, April 28th. At Security Gun Club. It will be our first ever Freedom Friday. We will have sponsors and all sorts of reps there. We will have contests, giveaways, all sorts of things to basically get you to spend money so we can take all of that money and donate it to one of the many organizations that will be challenging all of the insanity that has come out of Olympia. So for more information, visit my good friends at securitygunclub.com. Yes, that is security with an E. That's securitygunclub.com. Okay, so what we're talking about now is what happens after House Bill 1240 gets through the House, which it will, gets to the governor's desk, which it will, and he signs it, which he will, and it goes into immediate effect because this is such an emergency, we need an emergency enactment clause. And do I believe all of that is happening? Yeah, I unfortunately believe that all of that is happening in the very near future. We still stand by Monday, April 17th or Tuesday, April 18th for a signing party. Now, let's just assume an arguendo here that that is exactly what has happened. What does things look like for you? What can we control? Well, here's what we can control. We can control some of the litigation. And so I do want you to know, and I have it on very good resources, that you will see multiple lawsuits filed the exact same day that Governor Inslee signs this into legislation. I believe that you will see a suit in the Western District of Washington for the United States District Court. I think you will see a suit in the Eastern District of Washington for the United States District Court. And I think you will see at least 2, possibly 3 lawsuits filed in superior courts in various parts of the state. So I anticipate anywhere between 4 and 5 lawsuits to be filed that exact day each. And every one of those lawsuits will ask for an injunction. Now, you guys are going to get a lot familiar with this, so we might as well teach you now that an injunction is basically a big fat legal pause button. The petitioner or the plaintiff has to go to the court and prove essentially two things. Number one, the implementation of law causes irreparable harm to the plaintiff such that if the law is allowed to go into effect, that harm can never be recovered from. And number two, they are likely to prevail on the overall merits of the argument. What it does, though, if a court grants the injunction, is it literally puts a pause on implementation and enforcement of all aspects of the law. For those of you who have geeked out on this channel and followed the trials and tribulations of Oregon Ballot Measure 114, which was passed in November, supposed to go into effect in early December of 22, there is not one aspect of Ballot Measure 114 that's yet been implemented in the state of Oregon, all because one judge in Harney County has enjoined the entire law from being enforced. Do I anticipate that there will be similar arguments made on multiple fronts in multiple courts? Yes, I do. How quickly can those arguments be made? Well, depending on how prepared the plaintiffs may be and how much resources they have, one of the things you can do when you file suit is you can ask for an emergency hearing for a temporary restraining order, which the court can set as soon as 48 hours following the injury of first occurring. So if Governor Inslee signed the bill on April 17th, you could theoretically have a hearing on an injunction, a temporary injunction, as soon as April 19th. Do I believe a court would allow to have or schedule a hearing that quickly? Unlikely, but could you have a hearing set within 5 to 7 days? That is certainly possible. Once that is litigated, we're going to know a couple of things, because if a court grants an injunction, not only does that stop the state from enforcing the laws, okay, which is a good thing, and it theoretically allows FFLs to continue to conduct business as they were, which is essential to them keeping their heads above water, but it also is the court telegraphing to the defendants that, hey, you know what? I've taken a look at the plaintiff's arguments. I've taken a look at the case law. I've taken a look at the applicable constitutional and statutory standards, and I think they're going to win too. And that's the important thing. And so a temporary injunction is a very valuable tool, not only in protecting us in the here and now, but also in the future. How long is this likely going to kick around in court? It's going to kick around in court for several months. Now, what's the big curveball that could be thrown in this? The big curveball, and it could happen at any moment, is that Roger T. Benitez down in the United States District Court, Southern District, California in San Diego, is due to issue a ruling at any moment in the matter of Miller v. Bonta. Now, Miller v. Bonta is a challenge to California's assault weapon ban, so a lot of you are like, well, what's the big deal? Well, if you check out this video right here, you will see that there's no originality on the gun-grabbing left, and so House Bill 1240, in its 7th version, is really cut and pasted almost directly from the California Penal Code. So the law that's being challenged in Miller v. Bonta is identical to the laws that we're about to implement here in Washington State via House Bill 1240. So the bottom line is that many of you think that we have lost the war, and I get that feeling, and it's hard not to feel that way, but that's not true. We may have lost a battle, but this war is a long way from being over. And it is my sincere belief, that although we may have lost this battle, and we may lose a few more along the way, ultimately, it is us and our freedoms that will win this war. Listen, we promise you here at Washington Gun Law that as this litigation begins to ramp up, and at some point it will get fast and furious, we will keep you apprised of everything you need to know so that you know what's happening with your rights. Listen, you may have more questions about what life is going to look like here in the near future or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights. You guys should know how to contact Washington Gun Law by now, but if you don't, hey, all of that information is right there in the description box. In the meantime, I want all of you to remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, keep fighting, and stay safe.